So I'm here with Chris Hewett of TRI Hospitality Consulting. Chris is heading up the Iran operation for TRI. Chris, welcome to the conference.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thank you.
So you're doing a lot of studies in Iran at the moment.
Yep.
You find it a very attractive and buoyant market. What are some of the challenges that you're facing at the moment?
I think there's a number of challenges that we're seeing in the market for the development of new hotels. If we look at it, there's a lot of opportunities with land. There's a lot of owners that have got land, but liquidity is a huge issue. There's a lack of liquidity in the market with the local financial institutions, and if there is any form of financing, they're coming at very high interest rates. So that's impeding one aspect of development. The second one is that there is still issues with licensing approvals and red tape when it comes to development. The cost of getting approvals and permits and the time has really been a big factor, and we can see the land cost plus permits going to 35% of total development costs, which can have a real big impact on the viability of a hotel project. So, these issues have been brought to the attention of various people during the conference, and I think that's great. It's starting to create a base of transparency in what is needed for the private sector to be able to invest and be able to start growing the hotel supply and renovating the hotel supply that we have here in Iran.
So one of the issues we've heard over the last 2 days is the fact that a lot of these developers are yet not contracting yourselves when it comes to doing consultancy studies, feasibility studies, etc. Are you beginning to see some of your clients now starting to instruct yourselves to provide professional studies so that they can then move forward with financing?
Yeah, absolutely. Iran has been closed off for many years, almost 38 years. So there has been a vacuum when it comes to knowledge and international knowledge within a market like hospitality. So yes, there has been a challenge of educating our clients and showing them what is required to have a proper due diligence and assessment of a project. And we're starting to see this being more and more sort of coming through. So clients are understanding the need for a quality, opinionated feasibility study and advisory project. There are still a number of issues when it comes to the appetite for the cost of these reports and this advice, but I think they're starting to understand that if you are going to be spending almost hundreds of millions of dollars on a project, you need to have the right advice at the start in order to make it successful all the way through the development cycle.
Okay. So you're doing these studies now for clients. You're then obviously doing operator selection as well, and trying to assist with funding of these projects, trying to raise finance. Where is it that you're finding the investment coming from at the moment for these hotels?
Up until 2013, we really started doing a lot of work here. It was for international investors, people that were looking at bringing money into Iran to try and set up a hospitality component within the country. Now, in the last sort of 18 months, that's switched, and we're doing a lot of work for domestic Iranians and domestic investors and developers. So a lot of the money they're looking for is internally, so that's coming through either financial institutions that have got favourable rates that are focused on the hospitality and tourism sectors, or they're looking at funds. So they're going out to funds to try and get funding for particular projects. The funding issue is going to be an issue to continue. When you have interest rates in the bank for financing at 30%, plus also when you can put your money in the bank and get 20% interest, it is very difficult to see the attractiveness of a hotel project that, although it might have a return of 16 to 18%, it still doesn't breach that cash-free risk that you get from putting your money into the bank. So there is that education process, there's the understanding that hospitality is very much a long-term real estate play, and we are seeing more education in the market with our clients on how the hospitality sector works, how the real estate cycle works, and really giving them that right advice.
Just looking at the conference during the last 2 days, just to give us a little view, from your point of view, how important an event like this is for the industry.
It's critical. As I mentioned earlier, there really has been a vacuum of knowledge for our sector here. It has been very internalized in the way of the knowledge base. What this conference has been able to do is lay a very strong foundation for it to build on. So we're starting to bring expertise and knowledge of 300 delegates from around the world and from the Gulf and from around Iran that can be transferred to other people. So we've got that growing knowledge base, we've got that growing understanding of how the industry works, and that's going to allow the industry to form that solid base of knowledge and expertise and grow on the right foot for years to come.
We just had Scott Antel speaking about sanctions, and he lived in Russia for a long time. Now he's starting to do some work in Iran here. What's your view on the current Trump administration and the perception issues in terms of Iran at the moment?
Up until recently, the global relationship with Iran was getting warmer. We're seeing a lot more dialogue, particularly with European countries when it comes to Iran. There was a gentleman yesterday who talked about the number of delegations his company has dealt with coming into Iran to look at investment. I think there is going to be, a cooling off on this focus on Iran from the Trump administration. It's just still very early days in his presidency, but you've also got a lot of vested interest in other countries and parts of the world. You've got Europe that are looking to heavily invest in Iran through various different sectors and industries. You've got China, you've got Korea, you've also got Russia that have all got a part to play when it comes to the growth and expansion of Iran and the economy and the opportunities within it. We heard Dr. Florence talk about the Pakistan-Iran relationship. We look at the India-Iran relationship. So there are a lot of countries that are looking to develop strong bilateral trade relationships with Iran, and I think that will start overpowering what you're starting to see coming out of the Trump administration.
Good. Well, that sounds all very positive. Chris, thanks so much for being one of our sponsors, supporters,
thank you very much.
and we're delighted that you're part of our journey.
Thank you, and look forward to many more to come.
Okay, great.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.